Oftentimes at this moment, we stand up here and tell you what someone did. And in the case of Jon Stanbrough, that's a big tell, an impressive tell. In the world of traditional sprint cars, Jon is regarded as one of the best of all time. Nearly 200 feature wins, 35 wins with USAC, Indiana Sprint Week champion, driver of the year 3 times. Among traditional sprint car racing, this man is a bona fide legend. But I want to spend a moment telling you not just what Jon did, but who he is. He is quiet, but only out front. Jon doesn't say much, and he keeps his emotions in check. Around people he trusts, Jon is easy to talk to and is a caring friend. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's fun to be around. He is independent. For nearly all of his life, Jon has been self-employed at his shop in Brownsburg, Indiana, making his own way. Throughout his life, Jon has chosen to do things on his own in his way. He is humble and proud. You'll never hear Jon boasting or bragging, but on the flip side, he's very proud of what he was able to accomplish in a race car. Maybe that stems from the fact that Jon started racing from scratch, and I do mean from scratch. He is a teddy bear. Whatever ideas you might have of Jon being this hard case racer, they go right out the window when you watch him interact with his 6-year-old daughter. It is a joy to behold. He is an artist. If you've seen Jon's work as a fabricator, he really does take it to the next level. His work on restoring vintage race cars is faithful and meticulous. But every artist first must have feeling, and Jon has a deep feeling when it comes to racing history. Finally, he is a fierce competitor. That's what brought Jon to this day and this moment. Deep inside, there's always a fire burning in Jon Stanbrough, waiting for the right time to be stoked and unleashed. Racing was the perfect outlet in his life. Year after year, he channeled his passion and ambition into being the best racer he could possibly be, one race at a time. All of us have moments when we wonder if our work is appreciated or even being noticed. You might have wondered that too, Jon, at one time or another, but you don't have to wonder anymore. I'm so happy for you, my friend. This is a great day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, Jon Stanbrough. I hope you don't mind the teddy bear thing, because it's true.
She liked it.
So here we are, man, and we've talked about this some, and I certainly had no doubt we'd be talking up here one of these days, and I meant it when I said I'm very happy for you. I've watched you through the years, and nobody's dug deeper and tried harder than you.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate all the kind words you said, and we definitely did start from scratch, and couldn't have done it without all my family and friends and sponsors, and I don't know. It's just great to be here. My brother and I came here in 1991 for the CRA race, and it's quite an adventure. I think we left about 6 hours late, driving through the night in a 76 Suburban and kind of an old trailer, and we got here and had a great time and decided we wanted to go to California and run CRA, but we never made it. But we got to do a lot of racing together.
Well, Indiana is really glad you didn't continue going west. I can tell you that.
Well, we weren't going permanent. We just wanted to go to Ascot. We thought the California guys were cool, and we wanted to go out there and try it. But I don't even remember why we didn't get to probably money, time, but we didn't make it, but we had a hell of a time racing here at home.
You're a guy that's definitely a historian. You like racing history. You know, I mean, you genuinely like it, and you show that with the work you do and all of that. Are you starting to reach a point, John, where you now have the perspective at this life of where you fit into all this and the contributions that you've made?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. I just, I like to get up and work on the cars and restore cars and love the history, and kind of getting tired of the fabrication work, but I got enough restorations to do that I can get away from the fab work a little bit, and got a little girl there that keeps me busy too, that keeps me away from the racing and the fab work, so that's nice too.
I remember distinctly you had a early start to your career, and then you reached a point where you very seriously considered at a pretty young age that it was, maybe there wasn't a future in this for you. And that was a hard time, I remember. And luckily, I say luckily for us, you hung in there with it.
I did. I think it was, I don't know, sometime in the 90s, maybe 97, 98. And I know if I don't say his name, he'll give me a hard time about it. But I was talking to Ricky Gaunt, and he said, "You can't quit. Not yet." And so every time I see him, he's like, "See, if I hadn't have said that to you, look at all the races you won now." So, yeah, I'd had enough of it, calling on car owners and sponsors, and it was just tough, and trying to run a business. And I like, well, maybe I just need to concentrate on my business, but it all worked out.
You've raced for many different people, but two that really stand out in my mind, partly because you had such a duration with them and so much success with them. And I'll start with somebody who was just up on this stage last year, Paul Hazen. And the time in the 57 car, racing USAC and different things, that was a great run.
It was. And talking about having to call, and, I had to call him and bug him and basically sell myself to him, and I wasn't very good at selling, but he gave in, and it took off from there.
Boy, did that work out.
It did, and I never thought I'd win. I think we won 19 races in 1 year, and I thought, well, I'll never beat that again. So
little did you know.
Yeah, it happened.
The other car I would mention is Brad and Steve Fox in the 53 car, and those were great years too.
It was. People say that's magic. It wasn't magic, but boy, we sure clicked. And couldn't possibly imagine, like I said, winning more than 19. In our first full year together, we won 20, and I'm like, well, we can't beat that. And we beat it the next year. So, and I think every year we were together, maybe except for the last year, we won double digits. So, I look at that and I'm like, never in my wildest dreams would I've ever thought, we could have done something like that.
Well, and I think a lot of people that aren't from that area or spend that time in that area, and I think you'll attest to this, the Indiana non-wing scene, traditional sprint cars, you're going to race the USAC some weekend races. That was particularly the period we're talking about there was intensely competitive. Any night there's a lot of cars and a lot of good cars.
There was. I can remember, I think it might have been the very first sprint week that I went to with Paul Hazen. I think there was 70 cars there.
Yeah, Terre Haute had 75 sign in that one time.
Right, and that whole sprint week, majority of those cars were all there. So that was, I don't know how you could get any tougher than that for a non-wing race.
Are there races that stand out for you, moments that you take some special memory that come back to you often? Every time I ask a racer that, they have a hard time. But if I ask them which one slipped away, and oh, they're right on that. You know, they remember those forever.
Yeah, yeah, I can tell you those right off the bat, but all the races that we've won, I don't know. I think the first time I drove for Steve Fox, we won. I don't even remember where it was or what kind of race it was, but, you know, in a lot of the big races we won together, and there was some times, you know, where we got crashed or whatever and maybe fixed the car, and sometimes we came all the way from the back to win the race. Those were pretty cool, and all of them were good. You know, and you hear people say, well, you've run at the local tracks, and those aren't as hard as the, you know, the bigger paying races or the USAC races. And I just say, well, where were you at? Because you need to be there, because I've run some races that are just as tough or tougher at the local tracks and don't pay as much, but those guys race just as hard.
Yep. You know, it's very cool looking earlier. You've got a lot of people here today with you. That I would think that has to feel great, that throughout all those years, people help you and people come and go, but these people showed up today. That's great.
It is. And when I was younger, all I wanted to do was race. I didn't think about much anything else but racing. But, you know, as you're older, you can reflect back on it and realize how special it is with all the people and all the places that you've got to go. And now that I'm retired, all those people I can sit down and have a conversation with, and the places that I've been that I haven't really got to look at because we're racing or driving through the night to get there, now I can kind of enjoy all of that.
So Fred Raymer says there's somebody specific you need to recognize up here, so I'm going to let you take the lead.
I need to thank everybody, my mom, all the guys that helped, Steve, Brad, Tim, all of our sponsors, Pete and Jill, thank you. Excuse me. Dick Woodland, I couldn't have done it without him. And so all of those sponsors, Rex, appreciate you, man. And especially the last 3 years, I absolutely could not have raced if it wasn't for all those people. So thank you. And like I said, all of my family that's here, appreciate you coming. My wife and my niece, they sold T-shirts. My wife drove the truck when I couldn't drive it or was too tired. And so it was great. And, you know, I know majority of all those people I mentioned probably should be up here instead of me, because I couldn't do it without them. So I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Appreciate Kevin. He was with me for several years, and he gets the, I don't know what you want to call it, he gets the title of being my crew chief for the last race.
Pretty special.
It was, yeah. It seems like it was just yesterday that I started. It went by quick, but yeah, it was very special.
Boy, well put, exactly right. Well, that long old road, here we are.
Yeah, we are. And I want to say thank you to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Bob and Dave, you and Pat, even though he gives me a hard time all the time about not talking. I try to do the best I can, but I'll never be able to keep up with him. But it takes all of you, and appreciate all of you. Appreciate everybody coming today and supporting this.
Well, you're the man, and this is your day. I hope you enjoy this for many years to come.
I'm sure I will. It probably hadn't quite set in yet, but it'll be like the racing, you know. You race, and then you get to sit down and reflect on it, and I'll get to sit down and reflect on this too.
You've got a lot to reflect on, my friend. Jon Stanbrough.